Vladimir Putin's critics have a habit of turning up dead. In the latest case, the Russian president has ordered 3 investigations into the murder last week of his longtime nemesis Boris Nemtsov. In his first public comment today, Putin said, quote, Russia should be made secure at last from the disgrace of the daring killing of Boris Nemtsov in the very heart of our capital city. There's some new surveillance video allegedly showing the gunman's car as it leaves the shooting scene. This is, of course, near the Kremlin. Now, Nemtsov's 23-year-old girlfriend is believed to be the only witness to his murder, and she is now home in Ukraine after being held for questioning. She didn't even attend Nemtsov's funeral. His mysterious killing is just the latest in a string of deaths among some of Putin's most vocal critics. CNN's Lynda Kinkade explains.
4 bullets in the back, and the Russian opposition leader's voice was silenced. Even as authorities promise an investigation, many believe Boris Nemtsov never stood a chance.
The opposition is excluded and delegitimized. There's no room for even constructive criticism in the Russian political system.
The killing has revived memories of other cases. For journalist Ana Cabrera, a vocal critic of Russia's war in Chechnya, her home was a safe place until it became the scene of her murder. Shot 4 times in the entrance of her Moscow apartment in 2006. And Alexander Litvinenko, a former KGB officer, died a slow death after drinking a lethal dose of radioactive polonium. His tea spiked in a London hotel during a meeting with 2 former Russian security servicemen. All fierce and outspoken critics of President Vladimir Putin, all killed in mysterious ways.
We still don't know who ordered those killings, and now we have this one. What do you think those deaths have in common?
Well, I don't think they have anything in common.
The Kremlin has denied any involvement in the cases, and a former Kremlin advisor believes President Putin is innocent.
There's absolutely no proof of any involvement of the Russian state.
But those suspicious deaths are not the only ones. A 50-year-old human rights activist was dumped by the side of a road with bullet wounds to her head. A trainee journalist and a human rights lawyer both shot in broad daylight meters from the Kremlin. The editor of Forbes Russia killed with a machine gun outside his Moscow office. And a business tycoon in self-exile was found with a noose around his neck. Was it a suicide? The coroner could not say. The Kremlin promised a thorough investigation each time. Some of those cases have led to convictions. The latest assassination of Boris Nemtsov has sparked a flood of conspiracy theories from politicians and investigators, from claims it was extremists or perhaps people within his own party attempting to destabilize the government. Russian President Putin has vowed to track down the killer or killers.
People like him are always under surveillance in Russia, so I mean, in this sense, he had bodyguards, but they were from Russian state agents. There is no way he wasn't under the state surveillance, and moreover, there were the surveillance cameras all over the place.
Despite a financial reward, so far no one has come forward.
Lynda Kinkade is joining me now from Atlanta. So, Lynda, obviously there's a connection in terms of suspicion involving all of these murders, but are there any other types of connections between Nemtsov and these other cases?
Anna, that is the main connection, that all these people were outspoken critics of the Kremlin. Yet, despite strong suspicion of Russian involvement, there has never been any proof. Even in the cases that have led to convictions, no one has ever come forward and given information about who ordered them to carry out the killings. Now, in the case of Boris Nemtsov, that case is being watched very closely, and we know that there are already questions about the quality of the investigation. There are photos that have emerged showing people cleaning the crime scene, actually scrubbing blood away from the pavement where he was murdered just hours after his death. Now, there are some that suggest the killer or killers could have carried out this attack in a backstreet alley in Moscow, but instead they chose a very prominent spot right in front of the Kremlin in a very well-lit and well-watched area. We know there are reports of some 18 surveillance cameras in that immediate vicinity, yet we've only seen vision from one camera, and it's very grainy vision. And at the exact moment of his murder, a snowplow moves into shot and actually blocks the view of that camera. Now, we know that, as you mentioned, the key witness is his girlfriend. She has not given any information about who the killer or killers may have been. She said she did not see anyone. She only saw a light-coloured car drive away. And we know, of course, that police have raided his apartment, seizing both documents and computer hard drives, and they will be looking into that. But like all the cases before him, we may never know who killed him.
It does seem strange that there aren't any leads on a suspect at this point. Lynda Kinkade, thanks for your reporting. Up next, it's called